Me again. Today someone's going to get the opportunity of buying a Mark II Ford Focus cluster test, repair and cloning setup. Okay, so what we've got, this will be what's supplied with the unit. It will be a test cluster. This is for a petrol, as you can see, because it goes to 8,000 RPM. It's already been repaired, but you're going to strip it apart and see what was done on it. So that will be supplied, so you can play with that, change the mileage, clone it, whatever you want. Then inside the box we have the ELS 27, which plugs into the computer, which we'll do in a minute. The security dongle, it will not work without that. It'll come with its software on a memory stick, so you just copy and paste the information straight across onto your Windows 7 or Windows 10, but make sure, absolutely make sure you've turned off the antivirus. If you're running a diagnostics computer, you shouldn't have antivirus on anyway, because it interferes with the diagnostics. In here we have the test box. This is a cigarette lighter point, power point. Then we've got USBs. Okay, then we've got the power supply. So I'm going to plug the power supply in like this. Then on this lead we have the plug that goes into the back of the cluster, which we'll do in a minute, and the OBD. Now you can use Alltel, Forescan, Ford OBD. Obviously this software will do it. Anything that operates through OBD can be plugged into this and communicate with the cluster. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the box. The box comes with it. And the only reason I'm selling it is I've got two, and I made these, so I don't need two. I had one on the bench and one in the back of the van. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our lead, and if I turn the cluster around like so, I'm going to plug it into the back of the cluster, doing all this one-handed. So you take the cluster out of the car, but also this can be done by OBD. So if you want to change the mileage, for example, or clone, you don't actually need to take the cluster out. You can do it in the vehicle. So what we've got is our OBD here. If I just set that up like that, and I switch on the power, okay, that's good. So there's our power. So we've currently got 62,000 miles on there. Now if I hit the next button, there's only two buttons, very easy to use, turns everything on and tests all the lights, and you can calibrate the needles as well like that. Okay, so if someone's already had a go at the cluster and the needles are all over the place, you can actually set it up by turning it off, turn it back on again. The needles will fluctuate, they'll reset, and then they'll finish at their final point, which is what you want. Okay, so that's that bit. So let's turn that off. Power's off. Now I'm going to take the ELS 327, which is the interface lead for this particular software. Take it off of its like this. Okay, and I'm going to plug that into the laptop like so. Then I'm going to take the security dongle. I've got to unplug it first, so let's do this. So, okay, right. All I did was couldn't do it with one hand. It's just unplug it from this. Plug this into the laptop as well, like that. It should light up, and we can hear the beep. Okay. So next thing we need to do is load the. If I take this, I'll try and do this one-handed again. It's going to be a bit of a job. So what I'm going to do is plug this into here, like so. So we're plugged into the cluster now. So if I just put the cluster there, if it'll stay there like that, good. And I'm going to turn it on. So that basically that would be the same as the ignition being on. Okay, then I'm just going to use my mouse. I'm going to load the MT Tool software like this, double click on it. Okay, brings this up. Now the first thing we want to do is down the bottom ELS 327 COM12. We want to test it. Always test it first. So I go test. Choose the car model. So let's choose the car model. So it's a Ford and it's a Focus, and what it'll do is it'll bring up the picture. So you've got that sort of cluster, that sort of cluster, okay, for the Mark II. If you wanted to go Mark III, that's what you're looking at. You can read these, change the mileages on them as well. We'll go through the list in a minute. So that's the one we want. Then we go test. So okay, that's perfect. So it's found the interface, it knows it's got the ignition on, it's read the voltage, it's 12 volts. What we want to do now is read. So we're going to read this. Let's forget it there. Okay, so it's reading the EEPROM. And while it's doing that, you can see that it virtually does all Fords up to probably 2016, something like that. I mean, the Cougars 2013 onwards. You got Mondeos, all that sort of thing, right, saved. So, as you can see, the old mileage, 100,000 kilometers, okay. We're going to change this to 621 miles. So I'm going to put the mileage in, has 1,000. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's 1,000. We're going to change that there, like that, and then I'm going to go right now. Although I'll switch to the cluster. So there we go. So what it will do now, turn the cluster off. It's now in the diagnostic mode, and we want to see 621 miles when it's finished. Port closed. Reboots the cluster. Okay, now if I just turn the ignition off, there we go, 621 miles. Okay, so that's that bit. That's easy. Okay, you can also read the EEPROM and write the EEPROM, which is basically a clone. You can do it that way, or you can do a full flash. So say the system is corrupted, say the cluster's been corrupted by somebody else, you can read it, repair it, and write it back to the cluster again. That is really useful if you get flash codes of 13 or 14. When you turn the ignition on, you'll get a flash code. The immobilizer light will flash really quickly. Okay, and that's how you can repair it. Right, so that's that bit. Now the list. Well, if I go to the arrow, we start off with the Fords. I don't use it for anything else. It'll do Kia and Hyundais. I'm not interested in those. But if I go down, so we got C-Maxes 2011 onwards, Escapes, Fiestas, Focus 2 and 3, Ford Fusion, Galaxies 2010 onwards, Cougars 13 onwards, Mondeo, okay, S-Max, the Tornado, which is obviously the Transit Connect, then you've got the other Transits, Mark 7s, okay, and then the Transit Connect 14 onwards. It'll also do Mazda, Mitsubishi and Renault. I'm not interested in those, so, but it will do those. It will change the mileage on those as well. Okay, so that's it. What you get, like I said, you get the security dongle, you get the interface, you get the cluster to test with, you get this test box, then obviously here you've got the voltage, so you can, you know, just use it as a USB charger if you want. You've got the cigarette lighter point there, so you can plug whatever you want in a for example, a power probe or something like that to do testing with, or a test light would plug into that. All of that comes in the box, and I'm currently going to sell this on eBay for £499. Now we charge £200 to repair a cluster, so you are looking at 2 clusters, 2.5, say 3 clusters, you've got your money back. Okay, whatever you charge is up to you, but I go to the vehicle, remove the cluster, repair it, put it back in, £200. And obviously all this can be done in the back of the van. All right, so thank you for watching.